Very true. Yes.
Namaste, brother.
Namaste, man.
My name is Daniel. I'm here with Raymond from Expanded Minds of the Cosmos group, and we're just gonna put together a little video, talk about some energy, vibration, mantras, some good stuff. Uh, Raymond, you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do?
Oh, yes. Well, as my good friend mentioned, my name is Raymond, and my group is Expanded Minds of Cosmos, but our group is family, one love, no matter what, though, you know. And my field of study is old fields of study involving the Kabbalah fields of study, these old cultural ways of unweaving, untangling this evolutionary path we are on as a collective consciousness, and ways to unravel this. Especially analyzing Dzogchen and their Thodgal procedures. Involving mantras, involving these schools of Tibet, these old school Tibetan schools talked and orally had these intense instructions on how to reach these levels of consciousness, involving, like you mentioned, mantras, mudras, chakras. Within, as you've in Tao, you know, uh, Shifuism, Shifuism. There's a bunch of Asian arts that have talked about this in olden schools.
Yeah, I pretty much started learning a lot of this when I was younger, but then like really got into it a couple of years ago. Um, I got really sick, so I started doing some Tai Chi, and then I started learning a little bit about Reiki and energy healing. And then I don't know, digging around in that, I started learning more about frequency and vibration and audio healing. And somewhere in that, I started learning about how the frequencies, uh,
Yes, yes, yes.
when you speak, and it's
They have
like
a direct impact.
they
Yeah, they have a direct impact. Yeah.
they can stimulate the vagus nerve in your mouth, like which stimulates your pineal gland and expands your consciousness. Um, there was a I was really looking into it, like how your vocal vibrations are frequency and vibration, and like the Om mantras, and I'm sure you probably know a lot more mantras than I do. That,
Well, maybe a little more, but we're all in the same vibe. We're in the same ocean.
but it's the same thing as like the Tibetan singing bowls. They're at a certain frequency that stimulates the pineal gland and
Yes.
endocrine system, and so a lot of that is what I created my group from. Just the science of that and trying to expand your consciousness and
Yes, yes, yes. In a
more about,
realistic, up-to-date mannerism
yeah,
that doesn't sound like esoteric bullshit, no, and or doesn't make it sound more fairy tale than it has to be. Shall I say, straight out? Because a lot of the problem, if I may, it's misconveyed and it's misinterpreted. You know, uh, Especially in the American theology and American schools, but if you go to Harvard or Cambridge or scholars, what they study really when it comes to energy work is the olden schools, even paganism or Wicca or witchcraft. They have these roots in Kundalini, or they have these roots from the Druids from Europe, and it all goes back to old school alchemy, old school, even the frequency, the vocal cords, all goes back to a form of alchemy of changing our reality based upon how how connected with our body, like you said, our endocrine system, or our nadis, our chakras, or vortexes within. And really, there's only four main chakras to work with, and that be the solar plexus, the manipura, that'd be the heart. Anahata, that'd be the throat. Vashuddha. And honestly, in Tibetan schools, this counts as one chakra. They would say in American schools, Ajna, third eye, and Sahasrara, that would be, the crown. But actually, they're the same chakra. It's actually taught this is the same. You activate really the crown, the pineal, it activates in a form as one. Like a lotus opening, and even the pineal gland resembles a lotus or a pine cone as it opens. In Egyptian schools, they spoke a lot about this highly. Even the High of Horus, it resembles that of a pineal gland within the brain. Da Vinci, he painted a lot about the brain. In his paintings, he, with Adam and God touching, that famous painting, it had to do with the brain. If you look at the outlay of it, the meaning of this was the brain and God, this frequency, this love is activated, ironically, to us. And it's something that we must live through suffering, love, heartache, again and again, until it's reached through a direct perception. It's amazing and it's ironic and it's poetic in a way. God must be met in a direct perception, meaning these old schools that have almost been forgotten in a way in America and some other countries as well, even China. In the 50s, 1950s or so, they invaded the monasteries, in the Himalayas of Tibet, and they
Yeah.
burned down the monasteries. Yeah, and they burned down half the books, and they took half, they killed half the monks. So, but it has been preserved though. Britain preserved quite a bit in the Samilain monastery, run by Chogyal Trungpa over there in Scotland. There's another monastery that in Europe. They preserve this lineage. So when I say, excuse me, when I say lineage, I say these sacred traditions of preserving the actual instructions. And a lot of times, as I'm sure you've heard this, a lot of times they're secretive.
Yeah.
For
Sacred.
out of love though, it's sacred and it's secret sometimes. A lot of them, but we're coming to an important time. We really are. It's critical to kind of, know, and people are like waking up, like, wait, I have to do something, or like something's not right here. This, the picture is bigger than what we're presented, you know? And so we have to go on kind of like this rabbit hole of an adventure. It really is. And in the Vedas and in the Tantras, they speak of the soul must have that of a pure, heroic compassion conquest. They must really want to unravel the truth. This is ideal. The patterns are everywhere. The answers are everywhere in movies and magazines and the clock and music. From day
Yeah,
one. And
they say follow the signs, and
yes, follow the
signs
signs.
are
Yes, and they're
everywhere.
there. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. Oh yes, it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
And like you said, you mentioned earlier, we're coming to a time where it's a lot more obvious now. You think this 10 years ago or 20, you're considered more crazy or more of a conspiracy theorist than now. A lot of these things are now like kind of like out in the open. So it's really a case of cognitive dissonance for a lot of people right now, honestly, and
Yeah.
that
So
results in riots. And go ahead, please go ahead.
I actually took a class, and they were teaching about breaking the stigmas of mental health. Like,
Yes,
it's not even crazy anymore. It's wild because, like you said, it's cognitive dissonance to
yes,
think outside the box.
right,
We're always in this box. So if you're a little different, then there's something wrong with you.
right,
But
yes,
yeah, we're breaking those stigmas, because if the current timeline we were on in society, the way everything is just chaotic, if,
yes.
if that's normal, if that's the box, we need to be outside of the box, and that's where
Yes, we need to right now.
and
Yeah,
our
yeah.
consciousness.
The box that we've made ourselves is being our own. Is being the dilemma here. Ironically, the bed that we built as a species is being the dilemma we're in right now. That's the bed that we built as a collective species, and we're all partly responsible. We're all partly responsible. This energy, and it must be rectified somehow. Or else we will not be in the predicament that we're in.
And that's why I created my group was it started out it was Evolution Overdrive. Then I found out there's a guitar pedal named Evolution Overdrive, so I ditched the name.
Okay.
Renamed it Eminent Serenity, but my big thing is like healing thyself, and a lot of it was about still about evolution. Like we need to evolve. Our species needs to evolve from
Yes.
that chaotic little box to
Right.
a species.
And
A-
a lot of that really has to do with the internet. That's mentioned a lot. In the end of days, all shall see in some way. That could be symbolic for in the mind and or the internet. The internet, I believe, has a lot to do with this. It has built almost in a way an intelligence of its own, and in a way, this artificial intelligence is very important in the collective consciousness scheme. It can be a double-edged sword, but as well it can be used for light and good. It really can. It's just all how we behold it.
yeah, I was thinking about that about a year ago. I was thinking like, well, if that has to do with like the AI, if we're teaching it through social media and
Right, right,
Wikipedia
yes.
and Google searches, if we're teaching the AI how to act more human, then and we're over there like talking about chaos and destruction, then that's what we're teaching this AI. That's what we're teaching, you know, technology. If we're teaching it all that, that's where it's going to be headed. So like we need
Right.
light workers. That's why there's so many light workers now, because we all need to be teaching each other and the AI and the collective consciousness. We need to be teaching it like a lot more than chaos and destruction.
Yes, yes. Which have been the main schools, really, chaos and destruction on a worldwide. What's the main? Everyone's interested in oil and their nuclear, bombs and their nuclear remedies of some form. And that's just what their bank's interest and or that's their totalitarian business. That's all there.
Yeah, yeah, I understand a lot of about that stuff too, but that would probably be a different video.
Definitely all together. Yeah, that's a whole nother. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another rabbit hole. Um, but yeah, I got really interested in the vibration and frequency and mantras and all that. And like at the time, I was so sick and depressed and anxiety, PTSD. I I was so sick with all that stuff that when I got into it, um, I didn't even realize how much I already knew about it, because when I was younger in high school, I was big time into karate, and I read uh, Bruce Lee's book. I read Chuck Norris's book. Um, so I understood all that stuff, but I didn't really understand it until I got into the energy and frequency and mantras and the like the old school teachings, the sacred wisdom teachings. And then it's like once I got into all that and started doing Reiki and Tai Chi, because at the time I was so sick with the PTSD and all that, I couldn't move like 100 feet. So I got into the Tai Chi. One day I'm sitting there like, this is just karate really slow. And then I realized like how much that karate real slow was training my physical body to be more in tune with my mental and spiritual body. And then when I got into the frequencies, like healing frequencies, and started listening to the Hertz frequencies and stuff like that, um, it was really interesting to me how much energy, frequency, and vibration can heal the body and expand your consciousness. So I I kind of have like a bad memory. So when I do the mantras, I usually have to look up something on YouTube that has like the mantras, or like a guided meditations on YouTube where they say the mantras, because since last week I probably forgot the mantra that I used last week. So I'll just look it up and close my eyes or go in a dark room and do the meditation, do the mantra. And like it's really cool because when I found out about how the frequency and vibration of just doing the mantras like om, you know, how that frequency vibration inside your mouth is stimulating your vagus nerve, stimulating your pineal gland, and releasing DMT, serotonin, melatonin, and all that stuff in your brain for like
Right. Yes.
your overall health and well-being.
Right.
And
Yes.
we don't do it. We're like I don't remember taking that in physical education class. You know what I mean? But I think it's really important, and I've done some reading recently where I think it was Sweden or some other country where they're doing like yoga and meditation and well-being classes in school.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I was like, that's the direction we need to be on.
Yes. Exactly. Right. 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 Yes. We um we live in a society where almost consciousness is at war and it's almost banned in a way. We can't experiment with certain plants or medicine unless you're Native American and or on a reservation. It's almost looked down upon completely. And there has been proof that medical and you know these traumas and memories can be healed through LSD, through proper usage of psilocybin mushrooms, and at proper methods, and proper plants, are very helpful. Ayurveda, ayahuasca is used a lot. Peyote, these are medicinal. DMT, masculine, help trigger that pineal gland, to help trigger that kundalini. There's different methods. Plants aren't needed to get that direct perception. It's all about what helps you get that direct perception of a vidya. Vidya is the term for core. Vidya meaning your continuum. So in mantras, in mudras, these are ways to help reach that core. And you mentioned about the concept of exact mantras or wording, and as well you mentioned about how, or we mentioned about these different schools. One of them I wanted to like just it occurred to me. There's been many old schools, and the one I'm mostly refer to is the Yingpa tradition, or Yingmapa, meaning ancient insiders. They look inside for the answers. Yingpa. But there's different schools altogether though. The Yingpa Dzogchen is what I follow. Um, but that's another vehicle school. So these are called vehicle schools. Vehicle meaning your body. Ways to machine the body, ways to activate the body in a proper tune and mechanism, in a proper actual methodical way. And the Tantras and the Kabbalah of Egypt spoke about precise methods. Now, one of them, of course, is mantra. It's interesting to mention that the English language altogether is a
Spell
snake tongue, and yeah, it's
spelling.
yeah. The English tongue itself is made in a way where it does not activate these tones. I'm sure you've heard of this somewhere. The American tongue, the American language is made where it does not hit a lot of these dialects that hits the pineal gland. It's a dumbed down language, so to speak. But that's why it's always good to learn. And for example, that or the ra sound or the om sound, the ra me, these enunciations, they're not prominent.
All the vocals that vibrate the
Yes,
back
right, bingo,
of your
yes,
roofs of your
right,
mouth.
yes, exactly, sir,
Yeah.
right. They're not prominent, and that's not an accident. That's not an accident. Everything about America was focused about the American dream was focused on the perfect machining in their way. But older schools remember this way. Which to Americans is considered a pseudoscience. Or a pseudo methods. If you look it up, all this it's just considered pseudoscience. You know, um, so on mantras or mudras, these are different ways. The Rastafarian monks. They had another school. They believed in smoking marijuana all the time to become enlightened. This was their vehicular path. This was their how they tuned their vehicle. There's been different schools, the Mahayama, the Bahayama. These different schools. There's, like I said, another one was the Rastafarian. That was not part of the Tibetan. That's another schooling. The nine vehicles Tibet, one of them was the mantras. They developed ways, all of them access the same point, but they developed different ways, like nine schools overall, that different ways to achieve this direct perception. Mahayama and Brahmayama being the ones of that, focusing on the rubbing of their hands, focusing on the how to make to trigger certain nadis and endocrines, and the shoot at the proper tones. You don't as long as this vidya has can be reached, even with the eyes, the ears, this the five senses. There's ways to kind of feel it, to see it. It's out there, it's everywhere. So the way a good way of sound to initiate. The Vashuddha. That's why mantra can come out. Mantra works through the Vashuddha, activating certain octaves.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing that kind of work. I haven't had a chance in the past week to do all my meditations like I'm supposed to be doing, but when I'm doing it, like my whole perception changes. Um, like I can look at something that's really trivial and realize that it's not even trivial, that it's grandiose. Like for say, um, when you go out and you look at the stars at night, like that seems, you know, not a big deal. And then once you change your perception, you're like, it is a big deal because like that's how small my being is. And then like you go out into society and you're walking through the store and you see somebody getting upset with somebody else over a shopping cart, and you're like, no, that is what should be trivial. That shouldn't be a big deal, but
Right,
obviously
exactly, right.
a big deal to them. And that used to be me. And it was a very big deal because I'm upset now. And so like the mantras, the meditations, the energy, the expanded mind, everything, like your it changes your perception so that when you see that you're like, okay, well, this is not a big deal, so I'm not going to make it a big deal. I felt it, and I'm letting it go, and I'm going to go check out the stars tonight.
Right.
Because that's
Yes.
not a big deal, but this is. But what you're saying too, like, you study the Vedas and Tibetan, and like I got into all that stuff too. I got into Tibetan, the Vedas, um, Saint Germain, and the Violent Flame. I studied a little bit about um, like Chinese, the dragon, uh, Japanese. I think what is there's the Tao Tao teaching, but
Yes. Yes.
they all I forget what you say. There was like nine, maybe more, but
Yes.
they
There's about nine vehicle schools. Yes.
yeah, but they all teach basically the same
Press.
Kundalini.
Same concept of
Yeah,
reaching that core. Right. Just in different methods. There's
yeah,
some, like I said, mantras. There's some with mudras, the body touching then
yeah,
vocal, and then Dzogchen. Dzogchen would be the ninth one, meaning the art of awareness and perfection. With Dzogchen, Todgul, uh, the one I would refer to the most. Dzogchen would be through, produced through the eyes. And a lot of the concepts that they speak about in these schools are the heart, actually. I've spoken about this, the heart, a lot. And all these, the mantras, the mudras, when it comes down to it, it's the light of the heart. And these old schools, they used to talk about how this heart had an actual luminescence to it. Jesus, for example, points to the heart. and there's a luminescence to it. Whether it be Indian arhats or Indian saints and or American saints, there's a light to them.
And
This
when
is produced through the heart.
you change your perception, where you're able to reach those cores, and you change your perception, some people can actually see if they're on that shamanic journey, that hero's journey, and
Yes, exactly.
they change it to a point where they can actually see that light coming
Bingo.
from
Yes, sir.
source.
Yes,
Uh,
yes,
some people say it's reading auras; they just see
yes.
an aura of light. Some people
Right,
actually see like bursting light from something,
right, right.
uh,
Exactly. Right.
which would be like Jesus, the bursting
Right.
light, the light
Yes. Yes. The
halo.
rainbow body, the light activation,
Yeah,
and it's interesting to consider because in older schools, America is purposely taught in a way where one Jesus only, the one Son of God. And it's interesting because in the tantras, in the old schools, and in India, it's very different. These are books and these are things passed down that anyone can achieve. These are beliefs and these are methodical instructions
yeah,
that actually have been kept secret a lot, especially from America, that actually, if done right and properly, literally, it's a scientific method. It's not all magic and what people think. It's actually physics and it's science in a way to ascend to another level. It's just physics. There's a torsion field. It's been proven that we produce, a bioluminescent field around us. We just can't see it yet. Okay. It's been
yeah.
proven that we
The
have a
torus
grid around
energy
us.
field. Yeah, the torus energy field.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah,
And it's been proven already.
yeah,
It's been proven that this does exist,
yeah,
and meditation expands this. So these old schools, and no one needs the mantras, no one needs the mudras, no one need, these are all ways to ascend to that core.
yeah,
These are core ways, right? So
yeah.
there's this,
I'll go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go, please, please.
Oh, we were talking about this earlier too. Um, like spiritual ego. Once you get into it, your ego kind of sheds like layers of an onion.
Has to shed. Yeah, like
Yeah,
like an onion. Yeah.
and then you start running into um enlightened people that get stuck in some spiritual ego where they're like,
Yes, that's ego trap.
you're doing it wrong, ego traps. You're doing
Right.
it wrong, you're not doing it right. Um, so I struggled really bad with that because I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing it right. I'm not gonna
They
get
all have their different ways. Some will fast, some will do plants, some
there.
won't, some won't do anything. It's all about how they chose their vehicle to ascend. There's
Yeah,
no
so
one proper.
there's no one proper. That's where
There's
I
no
was
one proper. Yeah.
because I
So it's
struggled
best just to
so
get
much.
different pieces.
Yeah, so I struggled so much once I learned that I wasn't doing it right, or that I had a cigarette that day. So now my frequency is way back down.
Right, right, right.
I'm like,
Yes.
I'm like, oh man, I'm never gonna get this. I'm beating myself up, which beating yourself up lowers your vibration.
Right, yes.
Now you're just doing it worse. And so then I ran into somebody that was like, if you're attempting it, you're doing it right. Because if you're even attempting it or even following that path, you're still on that path. So you'll still get to where you're going. Everyone has
Right.
their own path, and it's their own time. It's their like
Right. Me personally, right. I don't believe anyone's better or lower than anyone. We're all on the same boat, the same ocean, the same journey. Right. It's the same. We're just learning different ways. Honestly,
yeah,
brother. It's not. Yeah. And those stuck in ego traps, then they're still on the journey themselves.
yeah.
I mean, there's no end to enlightenment. There
And
never will be, and
yeah,
that you always want to expand.
but then once you get past that, where you're stuck in the ego traps, then you're like, you're not even mad at them anymore. You're like, oh, okay, well, now I'm uh now I'm past that ego trap, and I'm not even mad at them for telling me I was doing it wrong because they just made me try harder to do it right, which got
Right.
to the point where I realized I didn't need to do it perfect to keep
Right.
doing it right. I needed to
Right.
just keep going, just keep following that path. So, like, you've been a big inspiration to me. There was a time where I cut out of the internet for a few months to kind of level out my
Yes.
journey and
Of
get things
course.
straight. Um, I think I was going through that spiral. at that time. You know, every time we come back around and it's a whole new perception of the way that you were looking at it before. And I got to that point and I'm like, ah, I did it wrong. And now I'm back here again. And I'm trying to explain it to these people, but they don't believe me and they don't understand. And then I meet a guru like you or another guru that's been past that point and that can guide me through that point. And then I get past that point and I'm like, we're there.
Yes, yes, yes. And now you can be your own guru, and we can collaborate and help each other. And that's we're all on the same frequency and riding this ride together, man. And it's just some see the signs more than others, but they're always presented. And the universe will always try to present it. The universe has hopes for that hero in all of us. This heroic journey of defying what's presented to us and finding out for ourselves. And it's written in the Bible even, and a lot of it has been taken out. A lot of texts have been taken out from the American Bible, but it's still there, the heart that if this hero's journey is pure, they'll find the answers. They will, and
Yeah.
they're out there in the old schools.
And my thing, I was raised Christian. Um, so it was all scary to me at first because it's all evil. Like the um ventricle um nerve in your brain, how they're both shaped like horns in your head, you know. And I'm like, that's evil because you're the horned man. But then I'm like, how is it evil if that's in your brain? Like we're born with that.
Right, exactly, right, yes.
So
So
how is it
yeah,
evil if it's in our body? Oh, because we're
right,
born into sin. Um, if God is so perfect, why did He put it there for us to
right.
use it to connect with Him? You know,
That sounds like that was put in
God,
there later. That was edited part. They don't
God,
want us to
yeah,
ascend to real godhood.
yeah,
They can only
God,
do so
source,
much.
whatever people want to call it, but it gets you to that
Yes,
level.
but they can't profit off of it. They can't profit off of consciousness. So they have built a perfect machine to kind of keep us in there. And they murdered one of the last avatars for showing this. And it shows in the Vedic text. It shows in these old school teachings. It's not just one or two. These people come with natural inherited understanding and ways to teach these ways to ascend. And a lot of times they're made examples out of. Gandhi was a good example.
Yeah.
Jesus was a good example. I could even go to a little bit of a lower, anyone that tries to change the precipice of nature,
Well,
whether it be John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther, that's another on another level.
the
But
problem with that though is they keep killing them off, but what they don't realize
yes,
is the 144,000.
right,
You've killed that 144,000 all along, but what do you do when they all wake up at once?
right, exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Right, 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 right. Exactly. Perfectly. And that's kind of the small stigma. And they want us to believe there was only one, and that's not the case.
No,
Anyone can achieve this. And that's the point. That's the point.
well,
With love and compassion, it can be
that,
done.
that's where I got to that point too, was when I realized that Jesus said that, Jesus said that, like they're saying Jesus said, don't do this, don't do that. But Jesus said, you can all achieve what I can achieve.
Yes, yes, yes. He actually said this.
Yeah.
This is key. Right. This is imperative to remember. He actually said
Like,
this. This is
yeah,
yes.
he said, don't worship me. You
Right.
can
Exactly.
do
Yes. He
that
actually got
I
mad. Yes. He said, "Don't worship me." Yeah. Exactly. Yes, sir. He said, "Don't
you
worship
are me.
me."
Yeah. You
And
are
there's a
practicing.
part where I think it was John. Quote me if I'm wrong. Where he got him to walk in the water for
Yeah.
a little bit, but he lost faith, and he said, "You need more faith." And it's interesting to connect this, if I may, because in the old schools they mention entering a state of basis where, okay, these monks and gurus and these shamans, whether it be some of their ways were being on a dark room. Okay, there's one way where Chogyal Trungpa, for example, from the Samuelain monastery in Scotland, he was in a dark room for 40 days and 40 nights, just in a dark room straight, no light whatsoever for 40 days and 40 nights, And when asked, how was it? He says, well, after a while, you lose all distinction of being awake and being asleep. You enter into this gamma wave brain state where your brain can just travel, or your consciousness, your vidya can be, and in this way, for example, in this way, there's no mantras involved, but these can be used, of course. But his method was just dark room meditation for just 40 days, and this is used a lot in Taoism. Now, why do I mention this in correlation to what I said? Because in the Tantras, they state once you achieve this understanding of reality and you're able to tear away at the weaves of reality, connecting you completely, because you can control reality, it doesn't control you. Such as how the Mandela effect and different perceptions can happen. When Jesus walked in water, or when he can do these miracles, these can be done through meditative states. This
Yeah.
is alchemy, actually, and this can be done through actual physical means.
But
And they
alchemy
state
is
this in the
evil.
Tantras.
We can't do
Right,
evil,
right, exactly,
but
exactly,
but Jesus can do it.
right, exactly, right, right,
But then he
yes,
says, you can do what I can do.
right,
So how is it evil if he's doing it because he's the son of God? So that makes it not evil because he's doing it. So we can do it too. So the whole word faith is the same thing as belief. If I believe that my body is healing, it's going to heal. That's how Jesus was a healer.
right, yes, yes, oh
Believe,
yes,
people believe that if he touched you, you were going to heal. Faith. So he would touch them and they would heal.
right, yes,
If he believed it so much that they believed it, like walking on water. He
right,
believed
exactly,
walk on water, so he walked on water.
right, yes,
John believed that he could walk on water because Jesus told him he could, so he walked on water until he got to the point where, no, I'm not Jesus. I can't do this. You're sinking. You lost the faith. You lost your belief.
yes,
Your
right,
your brain lost that. What do you call it? The state of mind.
yes. In Tibet they call it tamas. This state of tamas. Tamas, is clingy. We cling to things mentally. Oh man, this is a part of me. Oh man, this TV. Oh man, this. And when we're grounded in this basis, or when we're doing sky gazing, or we're doing mantras, or this dark room meditations. What really matters is your basis, your core. And this through your core, you lose this tamas. You lose your clinginess to reality. You're not clinging to it anymore. You're not dependent on it anymore. So it starts feeling like dreamish kind of way. And that's one of the symptoms. Because of samsara. Because you're just being reborn again and again over and over anyway. It's almost like a dream state. It's holographic nature in a way. Your energy is just transforming. So that's just enough. Keep happening.
So I was playing in a meditation once, and I was trying to get going into the caution, and I'm like, how did Jesus walk on water? And like this image flashed in front of my eyes, like the the ground was flat. There was about a half inch of water on top of the flat ground, and the water wasn't really there, and that he was walking across like a flat surface, and nothing else was really there. In his mind, it was just like say a room in the Matrix with a flat floor, and he's just
Right.
walking across, and everybody else sees
Right.
water in the
Right.
background and all
Exactly.
this,
Right.
and he just
Yes.
sees that he's just walking on normal floor.
Exactly. Right.
It's like the Matrix. The spoon doesn't exist.
Right.
The
Exactly.
water doesn't exist.
Being, yes, sir.
I'm
Right.
going to fall through.
His wires, his eyes are able to project the true reality of the nature. We're clung to this reality, but this is not the reality. Even in physics, this is all energy. Energy can move even on a microscopic level. Anything is moving. It's all, so it can be changed, and your perception can change it. And this is called, they call it purifying the elements. So really our body works with air, fire, earth, water, all of this,
Which is all
and it's
matter.
in our bodies.
Which
Excuse
is
me?
all matter. I
Right, right. And
that
that's how we can influence the matter. So we
because
build
matter
a relationship with
is
these elements.
so it's all because matter is energy. So if you could
Yes. And it
influence
correlates back to that.
and
If you can vibrate at that same, then you can manipulate it. at that vibration because you understand it in a deep cosmic relationship level. You purify that element in a way. That's what they call it. Purify meaning you gain a relationship with it in a way because you understand it's a part of you. It is a part of you because all everything you project in front of you is a part of you, but we don't realize it. We're clinging to it.
Yeah.
We cling to it as if we're on autopilot, but really we take part and we're projecting all the time. So these old schools, this is alchemy. Old school alchemy is changing what you're able to see because it is on a dream state level. So you understand and you bond with the element of fire. For example, these rishis, these Tibetan gurus, old school ones, it's said they can levitate an inch off the ground or so because they are one with the element of air. It doesn't bind them anymore. This is a good example. It's not binded to them because they understand it's a part of them. What is gravity but a state of mind? So they understand what is gravity but our own clinginess to the earth element. So if we understand we're not clung to the earth element, therefore these miracles and phenomenon can therefore progress. Whether it be fire too. Some of these rishis meditate in fire and look at fire for days straight to build a relationship upon it, to cling that energy. I am this energy, I am this, and then they can manipulate it. And this is old school alchemy. Whether it be, well, they say the earth element is the hardest to manipulate, though. And so it's always best to work with an element that's has a life or awareness like water. Jesus used water because in the Tibetan teachings, this is the easiest to manipulate. It really is. And it's a methodical science of the tantras of how to manipulate elements through your own nature of understanding this awareness through your direct perception of vidya. So that's how it's penetrated. They say, for example, they say he has a double-edged sword coming out of his mouth, and this double-edged sword can change reality because you have that much of perception, and anyone can do that. Because you
If
understand
once they
it's
have
not clinging.
yeah, once they have the belief that
Yes,
your words can change your reality,
yes, exactly. Right, right, right.
then it becomes an
It's so
echo.
powerful. Yes,
Yeah. Then you say, uh, I enjoy um, speaking with Raymond, and the next day or a couple days later, uh, it's happening. I'm speaking with Raymond because I spoke it and I projected it, and
yes,
now here we are. It's in my reality.
yes,
That's how that works, right?
yes, yes, exactly. Yes. And this can be amplified or degressed. Just like water, you don't want to become stagnant. This is dangerous, and you know this. It's
I've
it's
been
dangerous to
there.
become stagnant. Yes, yes, it can. Energy can become stagnant. It
Yeah,
can, brother. It can. Yes. Oh, yes.
PTSD, depression, anxiety, and chronic fatigue. I was pretty stagnant, and after a couple of years, it was like instantaneous. Kundalini was like, nope, here we go. You're you're coming back, dude. This is the 2.0. This is the sequel. Like, nope, can't stay stagnant forever. Like
Yes. True.
I believe
True.
that in that stagnant was pretty much my 40 days in the cave.
Yes. 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 See, everyone has their own way, and everyone has their own evolutionary guides that are going to happen. That pushes us, whether it be trauma. Trauma is a big one. Sometimes, ironically, suffering has to happen sometimes for opening to happen, for awakening to happen.
Yeah,
Pain and suffering is needed, sadly, for the direct experience of vidya. Because what's our drive? What's supporting us through this trauma at this point when we have nothing else to live for but this vidya? Some would say God, prayer, all of it's the same, really, because we're directing it from that core. That's why prayer, witchcraft, Reiki, all of it's coming from that core.
yeah,
It's from the same core. Yeah, it's just different labels, different ways to use it, manipulate it, but it's that core. And on the subject of mantras, it doesn't always have to be an exact mantra, as long as it's said with pure focus and understanding what trigger words are all there on there, like Om, Ra, Ka, and actually, in a way, one can make their own mantra as long as they use these core vocals. Okay, and say, and each one program it, just like how a word is programmed. You can program this as with pureness and love. Okay, so there's an old Tibetan little, you know, mythology, little saying, there's two gurus that meet. Okay, one is sitting down saying a mantra. He's been doing this for a long time. This other guru, this other spiritual teacher, walks down the path, has never met him, and he hears the mantra. He sees this teacher laying down. They're both teachers. Maybe he knows this, maybe he doesn't. But he asks him, how long have you been saying that mantra for? And the one sitting down says, for about 10 years now, give or take. And he said, the other one says condescendingly, well, you might as well give up because you've been saying it all wrong. It's all in vain. You've been saying the mantra wrong this entire time. And so he walks away. The one sitting down looks down, levitates above, and levitates towards him and says, I'm sorry, what was I saying wrong exactly? So the point of this is, as long as you say it with pure focus and compassion on the objective or what you're trying to do, it still will correlate to your being and awareness. And on the subject of cigarettes and all these things, we have built a spiritual immunity by the simple awareness and the attitude being applied. This is already overcoming it. And you have to remember this is a good thing. And it sounds dark, but actually it's beautiful. Because humans have been programmed this way for 200, 300 years, it's not going to matter if you smoke a cigarette or not, because your grandpa, their grandmas, their great. Sadly, this government, this system has worked on this evolution already. So it's not going to make much of a difference really at all. Honestly, at this point, we've built an immunity, a spiritual immunity, and it's positive to just be aware of this. It's not our fault, and we still can smoke cigarettes because we're aware, and it's not our fault because it's already like that. It's not going to change, sadly. But what we can is break out, and immunity does happen. You know this. It's a spiritual immunity, and
Yeah,
that's why out of nowhere, all these indigo people are waking up. And if there was no immunity whatsoever, and if the universe didn't have hope for itself or Gaia, then it would not be installing this motive in all of us worldwide. Whether
yeah,
we have, digital devices or not, they're out there. We're all connected. We're all connected, and so, our own direct focus and compassion. And like I said, reaching that heart in Tibetan mythologies, they use the concept of this light can be transferred through the nerve, through the kati nerve, through the eyes, projected outwards. Okay, so there's a nerve called the kati nerve behind that's connected to the pineal gland. Okay, that
yeah.
connects to the heart.
That,
Literally,
that,
it's the
that
size.
isn't that the satellite dish shaped nerve?
You get the, yeah, you get the idea. Yes. It's called the Ida Pingala. Those channels. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I
The
got it right here.
Sushumna.
Yeah,
Yes. Right. So, and it's most active during twilight area. It expands these channels. Ida and Pingala, the moon, sun. There's these two channels that go and they meet down here around the gut solar plexus. And this we're trying to activate these channels that can, alchemically intervolve with the reality around us. But it's been kind of shut down and dormant,
and
these
what
channels.
what were those called?
Oh, this one, the left is called IDA,
Ida.
IDA. Yeah.
That's my grandma.
Or, and then, oh, okay, interesting. And
Yeah.
then the Pingala, right side, Pingala.
So
So
so in
in
Egypt,
schools, go ahead.
so in Egypt, that's the Eye of Horus, Eye of Ra, and the Eye of Thoth, 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 however they say it.
The opposite, exactly. Yeah, moon would be thought. This would be
Yeah,
sun.
there you go.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So this how it correlates because our brain is a reflection as above, so below the moon and the sun. Left hemisphere, right hemisphere, one eye, two ears,
Yeah,
two channels. Yes. And this is how we directly can interweave with the reality around us because we're plugging in and understanding at a microcosmic level that these channels correlate to everything around us. They really do. And whether it be levitation or fire bending or air bending, these things have been possible. They are possible. They speak about it in India like matter of factly. It's interesting because another analogy. And here in America, someone says, "Hey, I just found out that I'm God or I'm the son of God," whatever. They'll lock you up. Over
Oh yeah,
there, you
yeah,
say, "I'm this God, I'm the son of God." They'll say, "Hey, me too. I found out yesterday." The concept is they're raised in a spiritual background where they're taught, "Hey, we can achieve this too."
yeah,
And here it's shunned. It's
yeah.
shunned.
Yep.
Did you know a guru in India can smoke and do any drug they want because they're that highly respected in India? I try to do that here. That's a big no-no. To
Yeah.
sit down wherever, oh, I can do this because I'm a spiritual teacher.
That's
No,
gonna
no.
put you no.
You're like, the
Gonna,
fuck? No.
that's gonna put you in a cave where you're gonna have a whole
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of time to meditate.
Yeah, it's like, that's true. That's true, brother. Yeah.
Yeah. But some people, if they use that time right, they can do that. So
That's true. I've heard of those cases. Yeah.
yeah, that would take a whole lot of focus though, because there's a whole lot of chaos in that cave.
Yes, that's a whole nother, because there's so much negativity there, so you really must master your own mind. That's another way to do it. I've heard of one interesting case where this gentleman developed phenomena. See, in the Tibetan world, we call it phenomenon. We speak of it matter of factly. We speak of it very matter of factly because there's science behind it, and we can back it up and we can provide it. A lot of the science I get are from fellow colleagues or from the Himalayan Institute of Yoga Science, or all this is backed up by Vedic science. Meditation is proven. So
Yeah.
that's why
In every
I'm so,
country except for America.
huh?
I said in every country except for America.
Yeah, 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 pretty much. Yeah.
We barely started the meditation and yoga, what, in the 50s, 60s?
Yeah, and I think most of Americans, bless their hearts, misunderstand what yoga means. It's not just stretching, it means machining the body, or it literally translates to operating the body, and and a way for to connect to the cosmos. That's why yoga and witchcraft are actually both considered bad, because they both have different ways of working that snake, that energy, whatever people want to call it.
Yeah, and we've all been taught that snake, that energy is bad, it's evil.
Right.
But then, uh, not to sound blasphemous or whatnot, but didn't Jesus say to become like him? So, like
Yes.
40 days,
And they hated that for some
meditation,
reason.
the,
They couldn't have that. They just could not have that.
the,
Yeah.
the magic that he did. Like, how is it so evil if he's telling, or if he's doing it and telling us to do it, and saying that God created us to be just like him and to do what he did, and that he's just like God? So how is it now evil if he did it and he's telling us to do it?
Right. Yes, exactly.
I'm like,
Exactly.
so the snake is,
So,
it's
and I'm
not.
sure you're aware of Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so some people say that
Yes, and
real,
the Gnostic text.
yeah, and the Rosicrucians and a lot of the Saint Germain stuff comes from that too.
Yes, it's interesting because there's a lot of texts that were taken out of the Bible now called the Gnostic texts about how he went into detail teaching Mary about certain Tibetan practices, and that's how these scholars of Harvard and Cambridge kind of collected this together. That this is actually part of our human history. This is actually part of our human history that he learned from these old schools. It's mentioned that from
Well,
the
that
ages of like 13 or 30, he went missing. He went somewhere to learn something, and he
Egypt,
came back with extreme knowledge.
Egypt and India, he went
Yes,
to learn
yes,
from
yes, exactly. Yes, sir.
the
Exactly.
wise men, which
Yes,
that's where
yes,
wisdom comes.
exactly. Yes, sir. And he went to seek out this wisdom. He had a natural gift for it from the beginning, but he knew that there were schools teaching at the time too. And so they leave that out of the Bible conveniently. It was taken out on purpose because they don't want us to know where he learned it from. As well, it's taken out Egypt and Tibet as well, that he taught certain Egyptian and Tibetan methods to Mary Magdalene. Now, he taught a woman before the men in the text. That's interesting to mention.
And
And they could not have that.
yeah, back then,
Yeah,
it,
they could no, exactly. No, no, no. Yeah.
yeah, uh, what is it called? The patriarchs, they couldn't have it.
No, yeah.
Yeah, we can't have
Ah,
any equal matriarchs.
right. Yes, sir.
Only the men can know.
Right. So it was blasphemous. It was blasphemy. It was beyond blasphemy to them. So yeah, a lot of it has to do with the
But
patriarchal society we had back then. The church was very chauvinistic.
well, the problem is why they did that. The problem is that the matriarchs are much more powerful than the patriarchs.
Yes, and this has been proven.
Yeah,
This has actually been proven that the energy basis in the female is actually a little bit stronger than the male,
yeah.
and this is all the more why this has been
They give
taken out in
life.
Salem. Yeah.
They give
Yes.
life. We. I mean, they need us to give life too, but they nurture that life.
Yes, yes, yes. They are a cradle for that life, and
Yeah,
that gives them so much energy. Yes, we are part of it, and that's why by that divine will we can plug in too.
yeah,
But their system was made for this, and they have a lot of cosmic energy, and the patriarch did not want this at all. And Jesus saw this. Jesus was fair, as these wise men were. But sadly, the government wants it a certain way. Even back then, they wanted a certain way, so they can profit and make it a workable machine for them. So they had to set an example with him and Gandhi and others. So this avatar is out there, and they like it here. They do. It's just they keep killing him. So, but they like it here. I'm sure they're trying to help. No, there's more of them out
but
there than we realize.
they can. But that's the problem that they don't realize. They're just killing the body. And the
That yes,
the soul.
it's never gonna stop. It's not gonna stop. Yeah. If anything, they're just making it worse in the long run. It's made such an error in nature at this point. Mother Earth and the universe. It's taking a toll. It really is. It really is. Yeah. And light cannot be diminished. It cannot.
And that's why our Earth is in so much turmoil, because all
Yeah.
that
Uh,
feminine energy that's been
yes.
directed and crushed for so long. Uh, it's basically like we took all this female energy and just shoved it in this little tiny box, and that's Earth. Earth is feminine, and so we're taking all of Earth's energy and just stifling it. And
Yes.
Earth is
Exactly.
just like the women. They're like, enough. They can't take it no more. So it's all coming out now. Like we're going into the age of Aquarius, so
Yes.
it's all good. So we're gonna have to do another video. I gotta check the time on this. I don't know if I have the timer going or not. Nope. Yeah, so I don't know how much time we got on this video, but we'll have to get back to do another video soon. Um,
Definitely, definitely. And you said there's no knowledge of a runtime, correct?
yeah, I don't have. I'm gonna have to do a timer or something next time because I don't.
Okay.
We're out on time here.
Okay, yes, sir. Yeah,
But
we definitely have to pick up. There's a lot more rabbit holes. There's a lot more we can convey. There's a lot more teachings out there, and there's a lot more interesting subject matter we can bring up.
yeah, we'll definitely have to get back to that. I'll probably be in contact with you to set something up, and then near future do another video.
Definitely, yes. Just let
Yeah,
me know exactly.
thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Much gratitude.
Much
Uh,
gratitude, man. Much love.
Once again, this is Raymond from Expanded Minds of the Cosmos, and I'm Daniel from Eminent Serenity Group, and I got a channel on YouTube. Raymond's got a channel on YouTube. Um, I don't know if we're gonna plug that on this video, but you'll find us.